Hey everybody, so I am here on, I'm going to say Maris Island. It's just a 10 or 15 minute boat ride north of Tofino, and I got here last night and spending a couple days here, well just today, leaving tomorrow morning, headed for Victoria then Vancouver, and yeah, this is my quiet day to kind of sit back. The bike's not here, I can't turn wrenches on it, I can't do any of that, so I kind of have to relax. But while I was here, I did want to shoot a video or two, and what I wanted to talk about today was detachment. And you know, we talk about detachment in a bad way, you know, about being withdrawn and being detached from friends and family and things like that. But detachment, as far as I'm talking about right now, is more of you know, dealing with issues and dealing with conflict and being detached and dealing with problems. So you know, I was angry about a lot of things when I released. I was angry about a lot of things, you know, for a while leading up to release. Things that were happening within my career, within my workplace, within the base I was posted to, within my trade, within the Canadian Armed Forces, you know, and that was ramping up over time. And you know, I wasn't wrong to be upset about those things. I know I wasn't, and but the problem was, looking back, I could see that my reactions to things just kept getting more and more severe. And you know, that's that issue of detachment. I wasn't able to detach and look at the problem objectively because I was in it. And you know, when you're in a fight like that, or when things are getting to you like that, it's hard to take a step back and look at the big picture. It's also hard to remain objective about your own reactions to things, because there's that feeling that, no, I'm right, you know, and it's hard to just step away from that. So I released very angry, very angry, you know, and I think it would have been very easy to, you know, there's still things that I need to do. There's still some advocacy that I need to do for myself in terms of my release from the forces, and there's still some issues that definitely need to be addressed. And I could have very well been at those as soon as I left. The problem with that was I was still in it, still angry, still reacting to things, still not able to detach, and that this trip has been huge in allowing me to step back and start to take a look at the bigger picture, and in particular, my reactions to things. And you know, when you're in a fight and you're embroiled in conflict like that, there's no seeing the bigger picture. I found I lost the ability to empathize with other people because I just so wrapped up in that conflict. I also lost a lot of self-awareness in terms of my reactions and my struggles and how all those things played together. And as I stepped back and started to let things go, and went on this trip and changed focus and tried to do something positive, the more and more I look back and I see, like, okay, I can see where, I'm not going to say I was creating problems, but where I wasn't helping anything. And you know, and a thought occurred to me this morning as I was walking on the beach. You know, the big thing for us is mission before self. Mission before self, and that's bred into us, you know, particularly in the infantry, right from day one. And so then as you go up through the ranks and become a leader, you know, you live that and you expect that from your people. So and it's common through the forces. It's mission before self. That's the way we do business. It's the way we have to do business. So there's two prongs to that when it comes to particularly PTSD and mental health. The first is that I, as a soldier who now has to manage PTSD and or anxiety or depression or any other psychosocial or any other injuries, even physical injuries, that mission before self that's been just pounded into you kicks in, and you just want to keep going. You just do everything you can to keep doing your job, and that's very much what I did with the diagnosis of the PTSD. Mission before self. I've got to go do the job, do the job, do the job. As you get to be leadership, then you expect that of your people. You know, mission before self, mission before self. And that works for a while. You know, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, because it's absolutely necessary, especially when you get into operations. It's absolutely necessary. The problem is, about a year ago or 18 months ago or whenever, my world came crashing down, and I realized I can't do this anymore. I can't. So I had to switch from mission before self to I now need to look after myself. I'm at that point where my health is in decline. I'm just absolutely suffering. Certainly not making things pleasant for the people around me. It is time for me to go. It is time for me to be done. So the moment I step up and say, hey, this is what I need, and I have to put myself before the objectives and missions of the Canadian Armed Forces, because this is my health. You know, this is it. I don't have a choice. The moment I say that, well, I'm then at odds with the needs and wants of the establishment. And then you have leadership and career managers and all these other people who their job is to keep that mission going. The moment you stand up and say, I can't do this, you're now at odds with that mission. And that started a fight. That started a big fight. That started a fight that lasted a year. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse until finally I was gone. You know, so it's bred into the system and into the bureaucracy that we as soldiers soldier on until we can't anymore. And then in terms of leadership and mission objectives, you have a whole establishment that's just there pushing the mission. And the moment that you need something for yourself, it becomes a fight. And I don't say that bitterly. I don't say that like, saying that everybody was out to get me. I say that because it's just inherent in the way things work. And I don't think we take the time to appreciate that. Me as the soldier on the receiving end of, the disdain of the establishment, you don't sit there. It's hard to empathize, and it's hard to put yourself in that position where you say, okay, everybody's got a job to do, and somebody's job is to make sure the job gets done, and that's got to be their main objective. So it's that you lose that the nuances of that, and part of PTSD is that black and white, all or nothing thinking, and I definitely have my share of that. There is no doubt. So when I put my hand up and say enough's enough, this needs to stop, there's an expectation on my end that things stop, boom, done, and I move on to other things. Well, that didn't happen. There was pushback, and there was all these other objectives to meet, and kind of trying to see, can we make this work, and can we put you there? And it becomes very combative. And I'll say this again, I'm not claiming maliciousness from anybody's part on that. What I'm saying is it becomes combative because I, as the individual, have managed this forever, and I have finally gotten overwhelmed and realized I'm overwhelmed and seen the writing on the wall. So to me, what needs to happen is very, very clear. Boom, done. This needs to stop. To the establishment for whom I have worked, for whom I have been a solid performer for all these years, they go, whoa, okay, this is new. This is, but it's not new to me, it's new to them. So in my position, I couldn't even see that how jarring this must be, because in my mind, everything's so clear. It's like, I've done this for years, enough's enough. So that's what you lose. You lose that empathy. You lose that ability to see the bigger picture. You lose the ability to see the shades of gray in there, as opposed to everything being black and white, start, stop. There's a whole lot of stuff thrown in there, but that's just, but that ability to detach. As a leader, when you're making decisions, there has to be an ability to detach from your ideas and your directions in order to kind of see what's going on around you. and I felt I was always good at that, but it's harder to remain objective once it's your emotional well-being, and once your emotions are in it and it's something so personal, it's hard to detach and it's hard to become objective. But certainly taking that step back, leaving all the fighting and the advocacy for now until I get back, has allowed me that time to kind of suck back and reload and get some perspective. I really feel like, yeah, I could have bashed on with sorting some of those things out right away, but it never would have given me the chance to come back out of the fight. It never would have given me the chance to gain a little bit of overall perspective on what maybe led things to becoming that way. Why did things turn so sour at the end? Or to recognize the fact that my struggles were mixed into all of that and were creating a lot of problems. So I'm glad I took the pause. Unfortunately, now I'm almost wondering, am I going to have to justify not addressing those things directly? I'm going to have to justify why I took 3 or 4 months to kind of ease off and take a look at things, but we'll jump off that bridge when we come to it. I definitely feel like when the time comes, I'm going to be better equipped to advocate for myself, and I'm going to be able to advocate in a way that's going to be constructive and not combative. And again, that's the hard thing. We are bred to be combative. I had a certain amount of rebellion and resistance in me when I joined the forces, which is probably what drew me to it. There's a combativeness to me, and certainly we encourage that, especially within the combat arms. We're fighters, and when something's wrong, mission before self, and something's wrong, you go until it's right, you fix it until it's right, you don't stop, which are all these attributes that serve us so very well most of the time, until we come at odds with our handlers. Once we're at odds with the establishment, then that does work against us. And as I've entered the veterans community and getting involved with different veterans groups, talking to different veterans advocates, what I realize is there is a ton of division within the veteran community. There is a ton of infighting within veterans, and and it's like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we all kind of on the same page? And my guess, and it's by no means an educated guess, it's very much the layman's view, we're bred to fight, and if when we leave, for the most part, most of us who are involved in any sort of advocacy is because something went wrong on the tail end, big time. And I know my story is not unique. The way I left is not unique. The way I left was terrible. But if you leave in the midst of that fight, and then you carry on the fight, if you never leave, it gets to be that you just live for the fight. And when there's nobody left to fight, well, who's the only community a lot of us can connect with? Veterans. And you're used to fighting, and it's all and there's still battles to be fought and victories to be won because things were left undone. And when you live for the fight, you got to find a fight, and if those are the only people around you, you're going to fight with them. And I think it's unfortunate, but I think because of the nature of the work we do and the nature of the way the Canadian Armed Forces does business, and I mean, it's only just come a few days ago where the head psychiatrist for the Canadian Armed Forces publicly admitted that transition from military to civilian life is a huge problem and stumbling block for so many veterans, and this is in the tail of yet another veteran suicide. So the establishment's got to catch up, and it's got to make things right in terms of transition and looking after people. And it's got to do that in the midst of continuing on operations and amidst high attrition rates and low recruiting rates. So that's where that mission before self and looking after your people comes at odds on the tail end. And, it's not an easy fix. But for my part, what I've seen was taking that step back and regaining some objectivity towards what happened to me, what's happening with me now, was huge. And if you find my buddy Jay can always said, if everybody you meet all day, every day is an asshole, you could be the asshole. And there was some of that going on. Everybody I met was an asshole. Everybody I met was, it was just combative with everybody. And if you find you're in that position where every day, all day, everything's a fight with everyone, maybe you need a little bit of detachment. And, it's easy to sit here and say, I had to boot myself in the ass to get it. But had I not come on this ride, had I not found something positive and productive to do, had I not found a challenge, I very much believe I'd still be sitting and stewing in that anger. And, it's not healthy, and it's not going to bring anybody to me. It's going to drive people away, and I'm already running lean on company, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. And these again are just kind of my observations over the last couple of months. You can take it or leave it. It might, maybe your experience wasn't the same as mine, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there whose experiences were similar. And I don't know if you're struggling with being angry all the time, if you're struggling with being in conflict all the time. Maybe if you can find a way to just detach and just kind of suck back and take a look at the whole picture, that might help bring some clarity. This has been one hell of a ride. I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted. But, in terms of what I feel I've done to reach out to other people, in terms of, I feel like, the aim's being met, getting people to talk about PTSD and talk about their struggles. I can't tell you what that's done for me. I can't tell you how far that's brought me from being just angry and hateful and combative. I'm no Zen Buddhist master, I'm not, everything's not rainbows and puppy dogs here now, but certainly it's given perspective. And if, I hope if this helps you to gain some perspective, or maybe gives you a second to step back and wonder, hey, can I take a bigger look at things? Then I hope you can find a bit of what I have. And so here we are. I'm in Tofino, and tomorrow I leave for Vancouver and I start my way east, and that'll be the end of it. It's hard to believe. Just in a couple weeks I'll be done, off to school, off to the next mission, and I'm excited for that. I'm a little sad that this is going to end. This has gotten to be, I'm tired, but I'm also getting used to being in constant movement. So this is going to be another adjustment, but I'm excited for it. And, I can look at Paul Nichols and his ride across Canada on horseback, and there was inspiration there. Sheldon Roberts speaking up about PTSD and giving an interview, there was inspiration there. All these leaders and all these people that this idea just kind of evolved from. I don't even know where to give the credit. I think it belongs to a whole lot of people, just for giving me an example to follow, and then me just kind of mashing it together. But what an amazing journey, and to be able to just come back out of my world a little bit, just step back from it and have a look at the big picture, has been eye-opening, to say the least. I know there's a lot of work to do when I get home. There's a ton, and it's scary. It's going to be hard, but the world's a bigger place now. Learning to be open and to talk to people, and learning to reconnect and to empathize and to try and see things from other people's point of view, and not just that narrow mission before self, hard charging infantile point of view, because it doesn't fit out here, man. It does not fit. And it was getting so it didn't fit in the forces either where I was. So, at some point, if everybody meet all day is an asshole, you have to take some ownership for that. But yeah, to everybody who's joined me on the journey, thank you. Everybody who's supported me, thank you so much. There's just too many to name. It's, like I said, I told somebody this morning, I'm going to be digesting this trip for years to come. It's just wild. But, thanks for getting me here. Thanks for traveling here with me. Thanks for following along. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for everybody who starts a conversation, especially a hard conversation. It's hard to do. It's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to do it, but sometimes you just got to. And to all you leaders out there who are out there willing to start those conversations, I thank you, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And so I'm gonna leave you to go explore my island paradise for a little bit, and I'll be back on the road tomorrow. All right, take care.